I like to do kind of a random question, just kind of not really about the Timberwolves this week. It's more about the NBA as a whole. So what I want to ask you guys, and I'll go with mine as well, who do you think, and I don't think the answer is the Timberwolves, but feel free to say the Timberwolves, who do you think has been the most disappointing team so far this season in the NBA? And we'll start with you, Jared. Who do you think has been the most disappointing team?
Tough question. First team that comes to mind to me is the Sacramento Kings. With the De'Aaron Fox-led team, a young team. They have Bagley, they had Whiteside off the bench, they have Hield. I expected them to be a little bit better. They kind of been a flash in the pan. They're a team of streaks. Like they go on a 7-game winning streak and then they lose 9 in a row and then they win. And with Walton and Fox and the emergence of Fox about how he's going to be the next big thing and be an elite point guard, which I think Fox is an absolute great point guard, but I expected the Sacramento Kings to be a little bit better than they are right now.
Okay, and Chris, who would be your team?
Man, there's so many options.
Right?
Because there's some duds. Like the Bucks have been duds. The Nuggets have been duds. The Heat have been duds. Celtics have been duds. I think it's between the Nuggets or the Mavericks for me. I know we've talked the Mavericks a couple times. But I love the Mavericks. I'm a big Porzingis fan, and I'm a big Luka fan, so other than his flopping. But other than that, I don't love that team. I would say Denver. I thought Denver could legit compete with the Lakers no matter who the Lakers had. I thought Denver has a team that is so deep and so talented that, especially in the regular season, could just be beating up on other teams' benches and, mediocre players. So I would say Denver sitting at just over 500. And what are they? Probably what are they in the West? 5th or 6th, maybe?
They're Denver's 8 right now.
Oh,
they're
8.
17
Okay,
and 15, they're at 8.
Yeah, so 8. That's terrible for them. I thought they should be 2nd right now.
Side note about the Lakers, and I know Gabe's a big LeBron guy, and I am as well.
Me too.
They've lost 4 in a row without AD, and I think they're losing right now at the half to Portland. It's almost getting to be a point where does LeBron need a co-pilot or a Robin, if you would say, if you're Batman and Robin? Well, I love LeBron, but it's getting rough for him out there.
And Schroeder. They don't have Schroeder either.
He played tonight, I think.
Here's what I'll say about the LeBron Lakers thing. I think LeBron does need a second fiddle, because I think every single team. I mean, look at Kat. He needs a second fiddle. But Kawhi's always needed a second. Well, maybe not Kawhi, but what I'm saying is LeBron is 35 now. So it's past the point where you could, he's past the point where he led basically the Cavs single-handedly to the NBA Finals with what's his name? Who was that? Matthew Dellavedova. Yeah, Ilgauskas. Yeah, I'm talking about the time where Kyrie and Love both got hurt, and he led them into the finals and won 2 games with Matthew Dellavedova and Iman Shumpert. And then
was that the same Mo Williams team too with Eric Snow?
Mo Williams.
Yeah.
But you're right, Chris. Also the time where he led him with Ilgauskas and So I think he's past that point in his career, but I still love LeBron. I mean, but go ahead.
Well, but just to touch on LeBron's thing, I don't think that he is even past that. I think he's just as good. It's just the West is really good, and this is pre-All-Star games right now, and you're missing your starting point guard and your power forward, your Hall of Fame power forward. I mean, it just kind of shows, and this is the problem when the Timberwolves were thinking about going for big game hunting and getting a 3rd max player. When you have 2 max players, which the Timberwolves can speak to, if you lose one of those players, your talent just salary base is so low after that because you can't have a lot of $15 million players because there's just not enough money. So like if you lose a guy making 30, 40 million, you don't have much behind it just because that's how it works. So yeah, if you take a G League team and put LeBron on it, they're not going to win the NBA title. But I mean, the fact that they'll still make the playoffs is impressive.
Right, for sure. And so my team that I think is underperformed, and I think Jared, you'll see that Jared or Chris mentioned it, I can't remember which one, but I was watching them tonight. They did get the win tonight, but the Boston Celtics, like you got to do better. You have Jason Tatum. You have two All-Stars. One just became a starter. You have Kemba Walker. Now, I know they haven't had Kemba Walker the entire year, but Still, you got to be better than you are. I mean, look at recently they just lost to the Pistons at home. That can't happen. They lost to the Wizards on the road, and I know the Wizards have been playing better, but still. And then they blew this huge lead to the Pelicans. I don't know if any of you saw that game, but they blew this gigantic, like 24-point lead to the Pelicans. But, I mean, you have Kemba Walker, you have Jaylen Brown, you have Jason Tatum, you have Tristan Thompson, who's still a solid rebounder, Daniel Tice. I mean, come on, you got to be better. And not only that, you play in the Eastern Conference, and you are barely holding on to a playoff spot right now.
And one thing I'll add to that is, this has been a big coaching talking point for this podcast, obviously getting a new head coach here. Brad Stevens is still considered an elite coach, which is, it's kind of crazy to see that even some of the guys at the top of their game can struggle when push comes to shove. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Is Marcus Smart that big a deal? Like, do you take away Marcus Smart from the team and you're this bad? Like your top guys have got to be better. Like, I wish the Wolves had Jason Tatum. I wish the Wolves had Jaylen Brown. I wish the Wolves had Kemba Walker. But they just, I don't know. So, that's my team.
This is how I look at what I think the problem is, and this is a eras of basketball argument we could get in some other time, but
sure.
The talent in this era right now is unbelievable. I mean, we're talking about how bad the East is and that, but here's the teams. They got the 76ers who are jam-packed with with studs. They've got the Brooklyn Nets sitting at number 2, which have got 3 Hall of Famers. You've got the Bucks with a back-to-back MVP, even though I don't think he should have won any of them. Then you've got the Toronto Raptors, who just, won a championship and made a hard push for one without Kawhi last year. Then you've got the Miami Heat, who are in the finals at 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are all some solid teams, So right. Even the weak East, man, there's talent. It's just a hard league, man. You gotta fight every game.
And one thing that Gabe was saying about, sometimes the players just have to be better. Like tonight, the Celtics won tonight. They won 118-112 over the Pacers. Jason Tatum, 4 for 18 from the field. Like, that can't happen,
Mm-hmm.
Not if he's your star.
No.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't know, I just feel like they should be better. Like, sitting at 16 and 17, just the Celtics are better than that. And then an honorable mention team, I was really surprised actually when I saw this for this team, but Houston Rockets. I mean, they still have Victor Oladipo and John Wall, and they're 11 and 20. Like, they've lost 10 games in a row. I feel like that can't happen when you have those two kind of talents.
I don't think they have much interest in winning either.
Yeah, that's true.
They basically said that they're gonna cut ties with Cousins, and Cousins was a bright spot for him earlier.
No, he has. They cut him. He's been through waivers. Yeah, he's sitting at home right now hoping his phone rings.